Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer Logering and I'm the marketing manager for Primera, makers of Eddie the edible ink printer. I'm excited to share Eddie, all the cool things Eddie can do, and talk about Eddie, all the things he can print on, talk about the technology. I'll show you a bunch of examples of prints and products and confections that Eddie can print on, and then at the very end I'll do a live demonstration so you can see how Eddie works and a little bit of the software so you get a good sense of what Eddie is all about. First of all, Eddie is a commercial grade food printer. It has NSF certification, so it's easy to clean, it's made of stainless steel, it's totally safe to use. Not only is it NSF certified, it's also, the inks are fully certified. Not just the ink itself, but also the cartridge. So we have what's called CGMP certification. And so both the ink and the cartridge are certified, as well as a recent certification called Kosher Parev, which we just received in the last month or so. Excited about that. Not only is the ink certified kosher, but also the filling process had to be certified. So that is completely kosher. We're happy to provide that for our customers as well. So Eddie itself it's a food printer that you can print on many different types of confections. Cookies, candies, chocolate, white chocolate I would say. Macarons are a very popular application. Fondant is great. We actually have people making cakes printing on fondant, fondant covered cookies, rolled buttercream cookies, candy, graham crackers, marshmallows, so many different kinds of confections. At first when we came out with Eddie, we thought people were going to print just circle cookies, and boy were we wrong. Very quickly, cookiers are so creative, so innovative. They came up with so many other things that Eddie can print on every kind of shape and size and modification. So there's so many options for what you can make and print, so many different ways to use Eddie. I think one of the best things about Eddie though is its ability to produce and decorate cookies quickly, especially for things like corporate orders. If you have a corporate order for 100, 200, 1,000 cookies, you can print that logo very quickly. Eddie will print about 300 plus cookies per hour. So very quickly you can go through a few hundred cookies, print a beautiful, precise logo. Eddie's great for making last minute orders. If you have somebody who has a birthday or an event or something, you can have frozen cookies and you can bring them out and you can print them quickly. And then also for those of you who make these beautiful hand-piped sets, that's your lovely skill that you have. You can enhance those sets with 1 or 2 cookies where you have an intricate pattern or a print, maybe a photograph, something that would be very difficult to do by hand. So that's another way that Eddie customers use Eddie to enhance sets. And then again, for the logo cookies is a very popular application. And then another thing about just to touch a little bit on the technology, Eddie is it's a printer. It has to be run off a laptop, either a Mac or a PC, and there is a little bit of a learning curve. I think some people have some concerns about how easy is Eddie going to be used, what's the learning curve going to be. I just want to explain that we are fully there to help you. We have a variety of ways and resources to help our Eddie customers. Number one, with purchase, you get a 1-hour free one-on-one training session with one of our Eddie experts. You'll schedule the time, they'll remote into your computer, they'll show you the software if you're on a Mac or a PC, they'll take you through everything, lining up cookies, and then they'll get you to printing cookies. So you have that. We have an extensive knowledge base that has articles and videos. You can search for things like, how do I center my cookie? All sorts of keyword searches that you can find, videos, those are available to you as well. We have live support 6 days a week, so you can hop on a live chat Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturday. You can hop on a chat, you can chat in any language, and we'll help you get started. We'll help you with troubleshoot if you're having a problem. We are there for our customers, and that's why we're rated so highly on Trustpilot. I think we're like a 4.7 or 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot. You can read the reviews. Overwhelmingly, Eddie customers love their Eddie printers. They think of them as another tool in their bakery business. So we hope that this presentation kind of gives you a taste of what Eddie is all about, maybe answer some of the questions you might have. So I'm going to go into a presentation where I just kind of show you the variety of things you can print on. I'll play a few videos, show you all the different confections you can make, and then at the end, as I said, I'll do a live demonstration so you can see how Eddie actually works. So I'm going to take you through a presentation so you can see some examples of printed confections and watch some videos of them being printed as well. Here you can see the scale of the printer sitting on a countertop. Actually, Eddie, a lot of people think it's bigger than it actually is. Once you can remove that round carousel that holds 12 cookies, and you can set it on top of the printer when you're storing it, and it ends up being about the size of a mixer, of your kitchen mixer. So it's not that big. It's easy to move, easy to lift and shift. So I touched a little bit on what Eddie can print on, and here's a sample of, or an example of, several things. One of the things I forgot to mention was royal transfers. There are some trays on the market that you feed into Eddie in a manual position, and I can show that to you later, where you can print royal transfers. They're really great for adding a different layer or elevation to your cookies, an added design. So we're seeing a lot of those lately. Cookies, macarons, donuts. In order to print a donut, any item that goes up to 2 inches high, you need to purchase what's called the platform kit, and that allows you to go up to 2 inches in height. So you could print a short bento or lunch cake, a donut, or thicker bars that have frosting on them. Eddie also prints cake pops very well. There are also some trays on the market that I'll talk about later that hold cake pops. Marshmallows are great. Also the graham cracker, if you want to make little s'more kits, those are very popular. Fondant, either fondant for cookies or fondant for cakes, making plaques for cakes, things like that. And then candies too. There are several trays on the market where you can actually print directly onto candies, which are great for graduations or wedding gifts and things like that. Eddie is $29.95 USD. So, but you can purchase in your currency. We sell to over 130 countries in your currency. We offer free worldwide shipping on any order that's over $250. And then with every purchase, you also get a 30-day money-back guarantee, which if you have any hesitation, we encourage people to buy it and try it. Almost no one returns their Eddie. They end up loving it. So that's something that you can try as well. You get the free training I mentioned, the free support actually for the life of the printer. It comes with a 1-year warranty, and you can extend that warranty only for customers in the United States. We have what's called a hot swap, and I think it's another $800. And then what we'll do is if you have trouble with your Eddie for some reason, we'll swap it out. We'll overnight a refurb or a new printer, so you can get up and running quickly again, which is nice to have. These are some of the food certifications I touched on earlier: NSF, GMP, and kosher Parev. So I want a quick touch on the different ink formulas. So when you go to purchase your Eddie, you go to our website, Primera.com. You will add your Eddie to the cart, and then you're going to get a choice. There'll be a drop down, and there'll be 2 choices. One will be an ink formula for USA and Canada, and there'll be a second one there for Europe. So you'll select either one of those. They each actually are 2 different ink formulas that are based on the requirements for those countries. So you'll select your ink, add to cart, and you'll get that included with your Eddie shipment. And then here's, a lot of people get confused. They think we have a couple models. We actually only have one Eddie printer, and some people use Eddie in carousel mode, which is the image on the right. That's where the carousel holds a dozen cookies or macarons. Some people prefer to use Eddie in what we call manual mode, where you remove the carousel, unplug the little device below the carousel, and then you feed them one at a time into the printer. And why people do that is because it's a cookie that's too large to fit on the carousel. So the maximum size is 4.5, a little bit bigger than 4.5 by 4.5 inches. That's kind of your area, print area. So if you have a larger heart-shaped cookie like the example in the middle there, that doesn't fit on the carousel very well. So, or it's a unique shape like a dinosaur or a Christmas tree or something that doesn't fit on the carousel, then you're going to want to do this in manual mode. And actually manual mode is almost as fast. It prints just as fast as it does on the carousel. It's just you have to load each cookie one at a time. And then the image on the left, you can see that that is the platform kit, the one with the donut. The platform looks a little different, has a white background. You swap out the tongue with this new device. I think the platform kit's $79, and that allows you to print taller items. And then you can still use the carousel. You can go back and forth. You don't have to keep removing that platform kit. It just becomes part of the printer, and you can use it in either way. So printing directly onto cookies and macarons. Here's a video showing it up close, showing all the different things you could print on. Here it's printing on a flour cookie. You can see how fast it is. This is printing in manual mode. That's actual speed. So it'll print a dozen macarons in just a couple minutes. And those little coasters that's called our macaron adapter kit. So you can purchase that from us as well. The macarons are too small to fit on the carousel, so you have to have a coaster or something to hold them. So there's Eddie. And then here's an example of some holiday cookies or variety of cookies for different events. You know, with the holidays coming, we have cute little, these are provided from a lot of our cookiers. Here's one with holly jolly, cute little prints, patterns. I don't see any photographs, but just a nice variety for all the different holidays. Eddie is great for that. And here's some more examples of customer provided photos. Here's some logo cookies that I talked about. This again is a great way for you to make some extra money taking on corporate orders, being able to produce them in high volumes, really high quality print logo cookies. Here's a video of Eddie printing some logo cookies right here in our office. See how fast it is. That's actually sped up, but it takes about 10 seconds per cookie. They just keep rotating, and then you can set it to print 100 and you just keep loading up the cookies. Or you can set it to print a dozen and then stop and then unload the cookies and then reload the carousel with another dozen cookies. Whatever method is best for you. And then this is some examples of wedding and bridal cookies. And you can see the one, I don't know if we have a sample of one that has gold highlights, but we'll show that one, show a gold highlight cookie later in the presentation. Here's some wedding cookies. A lot of people print them for photographs or save the date cookies or as actual wedding favors after the wedding. Candies are very popular. There's several trays on the market that will hold the candies. They're great for weddings and graduations. So we'll talk about that. Macarons, of course, are great. They print beautifully. Some examples provided by our customers. And then donuts. You know, donuts aren't flat always. They're a little bit more, they're not as uniform or as flat as a cookie, but it will print on donuts. And it tends to fade a little bit as it goes around the edge of the donut, which is to be expected, but overall the result is pretty good. So I'll show a video here. Printing a donut. We have these flashing lights that you can turn off. Those blue and green flashing lights. But there it is. Looks good. And we have s'more kits. So these are really fun for party favors or for, you know, around the campfire, giveaways, things like that. So the tray there, that's a Milton tray. That's made by Milton. She sells that online. And that actually holds the marshmallow because marshmallows are too small to fit on the carousel. So there's a variety of trays that do the same thing. Really cute. Printing on marshmallows are great. And this is printing right on the graham cracker. Just like that. Fun. And then we have cake pops too. Cake pops print very well. These are white chocolate dipped cake pops. As I said, there's some there's some cake pop molds on the market, and then also trays that hold the cake pops as you bring them into the printer. Then these are royal transfers. So on the right is a tray, I think it's called the Sophia tray, and it has a couple, like a piece of vellum that you actually, so what you typically do is you print directly onto the tray your graphic, then you put this vellum over it so you can see the graphic underneath, and then you pipe over that, and then you print, and it'll print in the same position. So you have to let the transfer dry, and then you run it through the printer. Really fun for cupcakes or cookie toppers, things like that. I love these little bears, they're so cute. Oh, also, we can print, a lot of people have been asking about how do you add gold foil to cookies. And Eddie does not print in gold. However, there's a process where you can achieve that same effect. So what you do is you print, usually in yellow or sometimes in black, onto the cookie, and immediately after you've printed, you apply this dusting gold, food grade gold dust. And you kind of tap it on, and then you brush it off, and it just makes this wonderful effect for wedding cookies like monograms or high-end highlights on a cookie. It's really a fun effect. We have some suggestions for how to do that as well. Typically the ink is pretty dry when you first print it, but right after it comes out of the printer, you can apply that dust and then brush it off, and it's really looks great. And then also, I want to talk a little bit about the trays. So Primera, other than the platform kit, does not make any trays for Eddie, but we've let the cookier community innovate, and many cookiers have produced their own trays that they sell that fit on Eddie. Some of them, like the Sassy tray, fits on the Carousel, and that helps you to line up your cookies, it helps you to center them. It's a great tool for smaller cookies or just for alignment purposes. And then some of the other trays are what are called a manual tray, like the sprinkle tray or the Milton tray or brown box cookie trays. So those fit onto the actual tongue. So you remove the carousel and you set those on the tongue. And there's all sorts of shapes and sizes that fit everything from Tic Tacs to candies to macarons to different shapes and sizes. A lot of them are just a flat surface where you can set a cookie directly onto the tray. So I'll give you an example of that in my demonstration so you can see how that all works as well. So that was just a sampling of some of the cool things that Eddie customers use or make with Eddie. I encourage you to also check out our Instagram page. There are hundreds of examples of amazing prints that people tag us with. So all sorts of inspiration. Join the Facebook user group. There's tons of information there. And now I'm just going to get into a demonstration so you can actually see live how Eddie works. Okay, this is a screen showing the software that comes included with Eddie. It's bartender software called Bartender Designer, and it's really just a basic templating software. It's a place to bring your image into that's already been designed in a program like Canva or the Adobe suite. This is very limited design abilities. It's mostly a place that you can bring it in and size it. You want to create your page size or your cookie size. So this, for example, is a 3.5-inch circle. So you can set all of that up in your software so you can set your cookie size. and then you just hit the import button on the image and bring the graphic in and size it and center it here. So you can expand it here. You can drag these open and change the size. That's where you set up your image in this program. Now, if you're working on a Mac, you won't be using Bartender. You can actually print directly from Preview, or you can use a program like Swift Publisher. There's some other programs out there that you can use for Mac. All right, well, we're gonna print a cookie now. What you would just do is you just go file print like you would with any other desktop printer. Just like that. And then we'll hit print. Picks up the cookie, takes it into the printer, centers your image for you. It has a scanner on it. Just like that, about 10 seconds. We'll print another image now. So you can see it printing. Now I'm going to print a photograph. Which I think is a great use for Eddie. Print Polaroid cookies, photographs. Like that. And then I want to show you here, this was the first cookie we printed, and if you go over it lightly, it's not smearing. It's a little tacky, but it's dries fairly quickly. Most people, what they do is there's a couple processes. Some people frost their cookies, they let it crust, and then they print, and then they let it dry at least 24 hours. Some people let it dry up to 48 plus hours. Some people let their frosting completely dry overnight, and then they print, and then they let that dry. So if you join the Facebook user group, you can look at, or you can search for key terms like dry time and bagging and how to do that. And there's a wealth of information about what do people do to, what is their process for drying and bagging so you don't get any bleeding. So there's all sorts of things. You can play with your saturation, you can dehydrate, you can let them sit out. There's many ways that you can achieve a print that doesn't bleed. For most people, they don't have any issues. So that's how cute that little guy is. And again, you know, we're not bakers here at Primera, we're printer manufacturers. So you guys are creating all sorts of amazing shapes and sizes. A lot of companies actually have made files, print files that actually match the shape of the cookie cutter. For instance, this little cupcake, along with, it comes from the Brown Box Cookie Cutter Company. This is an example. All of these, actually, there's a supply kit list that I included with this presentation, so you can see that links to all the companies that provide some of these supplies. But this is from Brown Box Cookie Cutters. So they provide the print file. There's a bunch of different design files, other different colors, and then you get the cookie cutter that goes together. So you get the print file and the cookie cutter. Some people sell the STL file, so you can print, if you have a 3D printer, if you want to make your own cookie cutter, you can do that as well. But there's a lot of companies out there making print files that match the exact shape of the design. One other thing to mention is that this carousel can accommodate different sizes and shapes. We have these triangles here that can come off if you want to put a larger cookie on there. So you can remove these. And for instance, this heart cookie can nestle right in there. It's a bigger cookie, so you might have to go every other. So there's some flexibility with it there. You can also see we have a square cookie that works quite well on the Carousel. But anything beyond that, or anything that's very small like a macaron, you can tell that a macaron isn't going to fit, it's going to fall through. So you have to use a tray or an adapter kit or something like this that holds a macaron. This is something we sell, so it'll pick the whole macaron up with the coaster and take it right into the printer. And then a lot of cookiers opt to not use the Carousel. So they take the Carousel off, and I'm going to set this aside. And then they unplug the base to the Carousel from the back of the machine. Lift it up and just remove that. All right, I want to talk a little bit about manual mode. This particular Eddy has what's called the platform adapter kit installed. This is not what it will look like when you order your stock Eddy. This is an additional feature that's $79. Basically what it does is that it allows you to print items that are up to 2 inches tall, like a donut or some kind of like bar that has frosting, a small bento cake, something like that. So it looks a little differently, but this is what's called the tongue area. So it looks very similar to what your Eddy will look like when you order it stock from the factory. So this is called the tongue, and then this metal piece is called the Carousel. So a lot of cookiers have opted to not use the Carousel. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So when you're just doing it in manual mode, you could actually just set a cookie right onto the tongue and print. That's one option, but most people, what they do, a lot of these innovative cookiers have created all of these different trays. We don't sell the trays, but in the supply kit that I gave you, that I connected to this presentation, there's a link to all the different suppliers of trays. You can contact us as well. But this is a tray, it's called the sprinkle tray, for instance. This is just one, it's by the Sprinkle Factory. And what it does, it has this little magnet on the back that fits onto the tongue. This one actually only works, I think, with the standard tongue, not with this Carousel. So what people typically do is they will print their image first on the tray, then they'll flip this silicone mat down so you can see the shape in the image, and then they'll take their blank cookie, this one's already printed, and then they'll put this on the tray, and then that way they know how to position the cookie every time they hit print. That's just a great way to do it. That's a tray. Then we have a tray called the Milton tray, and that fits right on here. That one works with this one just fine. If you have a unique shaped cookie, it works great because that pig cookie would not fit on the Carousel, so that's a good option. We have the DTM trays. This is our partner in Germany. They make many different shapes and sizes. You can order custom shapes. This one actually holds probably five macarons or 5 different pieces of confections at a time. And then this is a brown box cookie cutter. I don't have the base, but she sells the graphic file that matches the shape. So this is a bouquet of flowers. There's a tray that this connects to, and it takes it and prints it, so everything stays aligned. There's other trays, like this is a Sophia tray, and this is for royal transfers. It has this little vellum piece. So what you do is you print your image, then you put the vellum down, you pipe your royal icing, let it dry, so you have your royal transfer, and then you set it on the printer. It takes it in and prints the royal transfer. So there are others on the market, but those are kind of the main ones. We have links to all of them on the supply list that I provided. And then also the Sassy tray, that's a popular one. That one works actually on the Carousel. So there are various shapes and sizes. This is one of them. You actually remove these and it fits like that. So you can set 2 small cookies and it kind of has this pre-alignment. So you could print 2 cookies at once. So there's the cookie Sassy tray. They have a candy tray that fits on the Carousel and holds candies in all these different positions. They also have a cake pop one where you can, the little sticks rest on this little device and the cake pops sit here. And then DTM, the supplier that also does this manual tray here, they have ones that fit onto the Carousel as well. Many different shapes and sizes that accommodate different shapes and different types of confections. And I think I did touch on the Macaron adapter kit, which fits right on the Carousel as well. We hope you enjoyed the presentation and have a great day. Thank you.